Hey guys, Meg from megfort.com here. This is going to be another travel advice video. As you know, we are a traveling family. We do a bunch of traveling when we can safely, and I wanted to make this video to talk about safe travel in 2021 post-pandemic. So I want to share with you some of how traveling is different and the top 3 things that make traveling so different and so weird right now. Okay, so I want to talk about traveling going to a different place, travel coming back to a different I want to talk about travel going to a destination, travel coming back home, and then some changes in transportation methods. So as the panoramic was soaring, we saw a lot of domestic travel. So all the RVs were sold out, everybody was getting a bike, rental cars were so hard to find. A lot of people were doing domestic travel because there were a lot of travel bans to go different places, and a lot of people didn't feel safe, and some borders were just completely closed. So during this time, there were changes in how we were getting to other places. Road trips were kind of the way that we were doing it. During one of the heights of the pandemic in May, we decided to travel in our RV. We were actually in the process of moving states, and we decided to do it in our RV. Let me tell you, this was one of the best ways I've ever traveled because we didn't have to stop at any rest stops. We didn't have to stop at a hotel. We were encapsulated, and if we did have to interact with other people, we wore masks, we kept our distance, we were super safe, and I felt like we were super safe. We were totally encapsulated. I think it's a great way to travel right now during the panorama. Another thing I wanted to talk about is transportation is going to look a little bit different. So now if you're transporting or traveling via planes or trains, there is going to be a mask mandate. I don't know of a single airline or train service that is allowing people to go just without a mask right now in 2021. So just know that there will be a mask mandate, and if you don't feel comfortable with that, you cannot travel with them. So make that decision ahead of time before you delay people like me that are really just trying to get to my destination and not create a scene, please. Also, there are some changes in going to certain countries. So I suggest that you look up the country's government website, and every country, even the small little tiny countries, have their own COVID relief or COVID information website. For example, I traveled to Jamaica for work, and I looked at the Jamaican government's website. They had their own restrictions, and when those borders were open, they asked everyone to fill out a survey and actually apply to travel to the country. After I applied to travel to the country and they did their own little investigative stuff, they said, yes, you are allowed in the country. Here is your proof that you applied and proof that we are allowing you into the country. So I took that and then I booked my flights. And then when I booked my flights, there are also things that I had to prove to the airline. So I had to get a negative test within 42 to 72 hours of my flight. So I went to just my local drugstore. They did a quick test for me. They sent it out and they texted me the results and emailed me the results. Now I printed those results out along with the application to get into the country, and I also had my vaccine card just in case they asked for that. I flew JetBlue, and they didn't require proof of vaccination, but they did require proof of the negative test. So I had to have those things. I had my ticket, I had my application to enter the country, and I had my negative test. And then they allowed me on the plane, and I wore my mask the whole time. Now I wanted to come back into the country. I wanted to come back home. So I had my plane ticket home, and then I had a negative test. So I got a COVID test a couple days before I was set to leave or come back to the country, and my resort arranged it for me. I told them, hey, my flight is here. who do I pay to get a COVID test? Someone came to the resort, so I didn't have to like go out and expose myself or anybody else. They came straight over, they swabbed me, they let me know if it was negative or positive, and then I took that and I was able to get back onto the plane. Of course, I kept my vaccination card. I really suggest that you do that in case you are out of the country or at a destination and then all of a sudden they change the laws, need to show proof and you have it. So I kept it with me, but I only needed those 2 things to get back into the country. I had a friend who was in London and visiting London and had a wonderful time, and it was also for their job. And then when they got to the airport to come back home, they didn't realize they needed a negative test to get on the plane to come back. So their whole trip was delayed. They had to miss the flight. They had to go back to their hotel, pay out of pocket to stay longer, pay to get a negative test, and then got the results and then was able to fly back home. So don't get caught trying to get back into the United States without a negative test. Always be aware of those things. So those are kind of the 3 like major things that are changing with travel right now. Otherwise, it's kind of a great time to explore your local areas. I moved to Florida in the middle of the pandemic for my job and my husband's job, and we've really enjoyed just exploring our new neighborhood, exploring the cities and towns that are right around us. If you have that travel bug and you're like me where you just like can't sit on a couch on a Sunday morning just hanging out, you gotta like get out there and experience the world. Start exploring your local areas, your town, your city, your state, until it is super duper safe to start traveling more, and then start making those plans. Book the flight for next Christmas in Paris or something. So if you have any questions about how traveling is different or how we have done traveling, or even like minimalist packing tips, I've got a ton of videos on that. I'll put them down below in the description. If you want to check me out on social media, I'll put links to all of those below. And of course, I will see you on my blog, megfort.com, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.